Oh my goodness, it's a Friday and I'm back from hiatus. It's been a while. It's been like a month or so. I don't even remember how long it's been, but hey, it's the big baby. And I told y'all I'm back from hiatus. And the only thing that brought me back from hiatus, just back for a second, I'm going back on hiatus right after this interview is over. I had the excellent opportunity to interview Dexter Jones from the Mission on a Mission. He is a candidate for the Bartow County School Board, and I just wanted to bring him on just to give you all the opportunity to get to know who you will be voting for on Tuesday. And on that, let's talk about voting. I've been on this platform multiple times and talked about the importance of voting, but more importantly, know what you're voting for, who you're voting for, and why. Oftentimes, we see politicians get cosigns and endorsements from various people just to make us feel comfortable with that person. But it's upon us to look at our own self-interest, understand what is best for us. Then after we look at what's best for us, look what's best for our community, then look for what's best for our country. Just because your favorite artist, your favorite celebrity tells you to vote for somebody, it doesn't mean that that person has your best interest or the best interest of your community or country at heart. So just make sure you're wise and educated when you vote. Now, we see the countless instances of voter suppression that happen around this country. So make sure that you're being intelligent when you get the opportunity to use your voice, because your voice matters. The reason why they want to silence you, the reason why they want to pander to you to get their vote is because your vote matters. So make your vote matter and do your proper research and get to know the people and the acts and the different pieces of legislation that you're voting for. Now, let me bring in my special guest, Mr. Dexter Jones. Mr. Jones, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you?
I can't complain. If I did, I don't think anybody would listen.
It wouldn't change a thing.
It wouldn't. First off, I just want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. I appreciate having the opportunity to talk to you here on this platform. So pretty much, here's what I want to explain to the audience. Oftentimes when we have political candidates come, they talk to us about what they're going to do in office or what they want to do in office, but we don't take time to get to know the person that we're voting for. And I want to use this interview as an opportunity for the community who doesn't know you to get to know who you are, because as a school board member, you will be a voice in the room, but not necessarily the voice in the room. So we want to know what the voice sounds like in the room, what you're rooted in, so that we can trust that you're making the best decisions for the community.
Well,
go ahead.
Go ahead. What was you saying?
So I was just going to start off. Who is Dexter Jones?
Dexter Jones. I'm from a lifelong resident of Cartersville. I grew up on Mission Road. We called it the Mission. / Pine Grove. That's where my mother's side is from. You know a little bit about Pine Grove.
Yes, sir.
I come from a family-oriented situation on both sides. I had a very tight family. And that's kind of something that I want to kind of implement back into the school system with kids, just building that village type mode. Letting the kids know that they have people on their side.
I think that's very important, because oftentimes, we feel like we're out here by ourselves. And I think the internet has definitely made it so much worse that people feel like it's them versus the world, when it's really not. There's so many people who are like you, who are going through the same thing that you're going through or have went through it, and they want to help you out. Mm-hmm. So you talk about that, and I know you've done some things in the community as far as with gap fillers and with some other organizations. What made you choose politics?
Just with the issues that we face in Bartow County with substance abuse. I dealt with substance abuse in high school, started experimenting around the 10th grade. I felt that I had a great opportunity. I love baseball. I was good at baseball, but once I started experimenting, I just got distracted. Even though I had a village, I still dealt with my own personal insecurities. So I mean, I was kind of not really peer pressured into substance abuse, but just wanted to fit in. It felt like baseball wasn't enough. So I kind of wanted to fit in. Uh, and just went down a long path. 7 years I dealt with it. So if you look now, what we're dealing with in the community, Bartow County has been, the top 5 in ER visits in August. We were number 1 substance abuse issues, number 3 in the state with the opioid epidemic. So I just think the things that I have been through, in my past, and that's 30 years ago, but I mean, I know what it's like to be distracted and go down that path. So with gap fillers, I'm transparent with the kids, about what I deal with and where it can take you. It's so many kids from Bartow County that have great potential to be great, go to school, get a degree, find another way. Then it ain't nothing wrong. I'm not hating on Shaw or Toyo, any kind of manufacturing. If that's your niche, then that's your niche. But just you can find something else, something that you would enjoy, that you would love. So just giving back to the kids in that manner. I had Ronnie Brown come. He talked to the kids about finances, something that we don't get in school anymore. I had Vic Beasley come and just give them some wisdom from a Christian standpoint and abstaining from things that's presented, to kids at this time. So, I mean, I stay busy with it. I haven't really, with COVID, I hadn't really been able to do a lot this year, but I'm pro the kids, man. I mean, I don't even have my own. I don't have kids, but I know what it's like to have regrets. You messing up, early in your life. And I think a lot of people from Bartow County can relate because I have a lot of my own role models and my own friends that, they all went down the same path. And that's just something I try to prevent kids from going through. All races.
Okay. So you talked about how you had Ronnie come talk about finances. That's something that's not happening in school. And I look at the school system, I'm like, man, I had to learn how to change a tire on my own, which is not hard. It's not hard, but it's like, what am I doing at school? I haven't used trigonometry since I left trigonometry class. So do you have any ideas for other things that the school can do to help impact our kids that are actual life skills that they'll use?
One thing that I would like to implement, I think Bartow County as a whole has a lot of good things in place. And, not to take nothing away, but we had the DARE program.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, for elementary school kids. I would like to see a program implemented for 6 through 12 because at that time, like now, with social media, man, social media is really, if parents are not supervising what their kids are doing on their phone, everything about social media is enticing them away from doing what their parents are wanting them or where their parents are trying to take them. So, it's just so seducing right now with everything that social media is presenting to young people. It's hard for adults. So if kids are not being monitored, then it's tough. So just having that implemented, letting teachers really know what social media is bringing to the kids, but really just the prevention and awareness.
I think you make a great point there talking about the DARE program because I did DARE in 5th grade, had no interest in drinking, smoking, or anything at that time in my life.
Right.
Then let's fast forward 5-6 years later, totally different perspective on life, and it would have been nice to have true education on what this leads to, how this affects me, and from a transparent point of view, something you talked about earlier, because you can say, hey, don't drink, that's bad, all right, whatever, but let's have the real conversation about what happens if you start drinking earlier, what it does to your body and how it affects your decision-making process. And then you find yourself 10-15 years later and you want to pick up a drink every day and not realizing that you've been putting that in your body for so long that your body feels like it needs it. And you just were having fun at 17.
Right. It was having fun. I mean, and that's kind of what got me, just recreational.
Mm-hmm.
Going to little parties and somebody, done boss me out. It's not funny, but when I think back on, just being a kid and how easy it is to get distracted at that time, man, it's the decision making, man. When it really came time for me to even think about college, man, I was so far wrapped up in what was going on in the street and trying to be at every party, every club, Dion, Dominique's, them clubs of the 90s, but, just trying to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And I can just remember at one point, I was so afraid because, I had great parents. They were supportive. My daddy worked for the Department of Labor. He taught me how to work and all of that, man. But I would have still much rather have went to school at that time. But see, because at teenage years, you can go back to school when you're 65 if you want to. But just the things that God offers you as a youth to get your life on the right track, to find your wealth, how to get wealth for yourself, man, that window will pass you by. So, it's just, man, really, if and I know this I kind of skipped, but it just came to my mind, if the community would get together as a whole, and it really wouldn't even take a whole lot of money. It just these kids need support. They really need to know that people care and people can guide them in a better direction. Just community partners. I know myself, and I'm surrounded by some powerful nonprofit organizations that have had their own personal struggles that would love to share their experience with other kids. It's doable, man. I want to be in a position where, if you really think about it, you from Cartersville. You a lot younger than me, but I went to school with your family.
Mm-hmm.
The DARE program is the only program where anybody has ever stepped out and dealt with substance abuse or addiction. It's a problem. It's a middle school in Bartow County and I don't want to call the school name, but in 2019 there were 28 attempts of suicide. Middle school.
Jesus.
28. Man, people, I know we dealing with the pandemic, the COVID pandemic, but man, it's an epidemic, man, here in Bartow County, where we at the top of the list in the counties. 159 counties in Georgia, and we at the top of the list. But until people in the community and people in Bartow County, I love where I'm from, until people get past the stigma that comes along with substance abuse and addiction, man, it's going to forever be a problem, because you can't keep sweeping it under the rug. You can't keep avoiding it. It starts to stick out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you make a great point about the community and Bartow County specifically, and how, and these are my words, not your words, how Bartow County is a little bit behind times in grasping on to some real issues. Like I try to read the newspaper every now and then to stay abreast of what's going on. And the way that the community views certain things, it's like, hey, man, it's not the 70s anymore. It's not the 80s. It's not the 90s. We can't turn our backs on things that are legitimate issues that are happening in this community. We have to be open and honest about it. we have to have more people who are transparent like you, who say, hey, I experimented with this, I did that, here's what it did for me. And other people who have had those experiences, whether it helped them, hurt them, but just to be honest, because the idea of thinking that no one you know in your immediate adult circle has ever experimented with a drug, and you holding on to that in your heart for years, and then you get older and you have a conversation, it's like, oh, everyone else did that too. So I could have just had this conversation with you and you and you, but we're so afraid of judgment sometimes
The stigma.
that we won't address the issue and we just act like nothing happened.
I'm a firm believer. It's Revelation 12 and 11. It says, many are warned by the words of your testimony. Many are warned, meaning being set free and put on the right path where they can obtain things in life. With gap fillers, one thing that I always wanted to do, man, and I still encourage it, is for men to become mentors and share with kids what they've been through, because it's a correction in that for them. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I had another valid point. It'll come back, but yeah, just getting people involved. I got you. I've noticed just throughout the years, people that have excelled and went on the way, you know, they might mess up. Bartow County is a part of the Bible Belt. It's there's a lot of churches in Bartow County.
Mm-hmm.
One Lord, one faith, one baptism. But when people mess up, we tend to just shovel dirt on them and just, man, you can't help nobody. And people want to share with kids, and they won't allow it. You know, so
because they're not perfect like everybody else is, you know.
Man, it was only one perfect. It's a stigma, man. You know, we got to get past it. It's got to be that where people will get to a point where they want to, you know, help the kids. They the future. If you don't help the kids, what's the future gonna look like for Bartow County? With all what's going on, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's so important, and that's why I have so much respect for you and what you're doing, because you're working with the kids. You're looking to go to the school board, which directly affects the kids because you spend the first 13 years of your life in school. So
Right.
having people from our community who understand our community, understand our people, impacting the important decisions is so important. So I want to ask you, and we've kind of hit on it, but what have you done to prepare yourself for this opportunity? And it doesn't have to be, you know, brief, just strictly school board related stuff, but like your growth as a person, your life journey, how has it gotten you ready for this opportunity?
I think tribulation, just stuff that I've been through. You know, man, I'm big on keeping God first, and I'm not perfect. He's still working on me, but just God getting the glory out of every situation that I've been through, even when I cause, when I make the bad decision, you know, just life lessons and me being willing to share it with young people. I mean, it ain't nothing. It's just that, just working a lot. I got to give a big shout out to Recovery Bartow, because, you know, really with substance abuse and addiction, man. When I'm gonna tell you, man, I battled cocaine and smoking it for 4 years. Just, I couldn't quit on my own. I couldn't do it I tried. Every time that I tried, it would get worse. But I prayed and I asked God to take the desire away, and He took it, man. And I've never looked back in that area. But I'm learning there's so many other different avenues for people to get, you know, to get treatment or counseling or whatever. it's out here. Recovery Bartow, they're making a big impact. They're making a big statement, just to do away with the stigma, man. Because a lot of people, man, there's a lot of people dealing with issues, man, that they want to get rid of. And I really believe my pastor, he told me, man, a long time ago, man, if you can ever reach the kids, you can reach the parents. So that's why I think it's important, to start implementing these things, man, because it's serious. It's really serious. And I think people really have swept it for so long. I think that they think in their minds that, man, that's not a problem here. But it's the ER visits and everything is lining up to show us, man, we got a problem that we need to address. It's just like, to me, man, it's just me, because I sit and I think a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's like God keep allowing all these things to happen just for us to come together and work on these issues. Because you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Man, it's just like people are fighting within themselves to not come together. I'm talking about race and all of that.
It's the crabs in the bucket mentality. It's just that people want to keep fighting each other. Well, at the end of the day, you're gonna end up killing yourself, because
self-destruction.
Yes, and that's all it is. Because the crazy thing about COVID is I've never had this much time alone to just think about stuff and be just taken away from life, and
Man.
just be able to look at things from 180 feet away. And it's like, man, we are over here fighting each other on how to get racial equality. So what we're doing is we fighting the people who want the same stuff that we want, just because they don't want to do it the way that we think is best. And it's like, man, how about you direct that effort elsewhere and understand that there's more than one way to get the job done.
Right.
So
it's got to change, man. It has. Just use athletics for a minute. Just athletics. We all know, man. I went to Cass, and you know what it's always been, except for 83. Just talking about football. Overall, everything, man, there's enough power in Cartersville, in Bartow County. The Cartersville ain't got to be the only team winning the state championship.
Absolutely not.
Man, it's too much here to keep losing.
But I think that the resources aren't necessarily put in place in the county to maximize. And I think the culture of always being less than Cartersville really exists in a lot of people's brains. Like that means something to them.
Man, I think what I've been through, and I am not the Christ, I am not the Holy One of Israel. I'm trying to walk in purpose and do what I can for the young people, man, because once your youth is gone, I'm 49, bro. Man, that went by fast. You know, I mean,
20 years younger, and I can relate. I was telling a friend the other day, I'm like, we're in such a rush to grow up, and then we grow up. Don't get me wrong, I have no complaints about my life. Well, very few complaints about my life. I'm enjoying where I'm at now, but I miss being a kid sometimes.
Man, you start pumping your brakes, trying to slow time down.
Absolutely.
You know? So I mean, I think it's just gonna take some commitment. I know I got if I win, I got some work ahead of me. We got work ahead of us. But man, I'm telling you, man, it's some powerful people in Bartow County. If we would come together and turn the ship together, I think they would change, man. And
how do you think we can do that, though?
Unification.
Okay.
Not trying to operate how we've operated in the past.
I think it's a pride thing. I think people want their name to be on it. I think they want to be the one who said that they did it. instead of worrying about the work getting done.
Exactly. Yeah.
And again, I'm comfortable saying that because I'm not running for office. I don't mind stepping on people's feet.
Yeah. No judgment zone. Because everybody involved has things that they working on. They talking to God. Everybody talking to God. But we got to get our hearts right to be able to deal with one another first. You feel what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we got to. It's too much. It's too much. It's too much gold in them hills in Bartow County, man. It is.
Dexter, you're preaching to the choir right now. I see it. I understand it through some of the people that I met in college. I've met people I've met in my professional career, and I go, Jesus Christ, you made it here. How? And then you learn they had the proper resources behind them. And then I look back home, and there's so many people I know who are still home and know not to what they're doing with their life, but they could have had so much more. Just they had the right people in their lives who cared about them. Just so much potential that could be untapped. And then you get to a certain age where you have responsibilities, bills, kids, so on and so forth, and you can't necessarily make those selfish decisions because you got to care about your family.
Right.
So
I don't know, man. I'm committed to the cause. Win or lose, I'm still gonna go hard for the kids.
And as someone who's already been going hard for the kids, if this doesn't work out favorably for you, does anything change?
I'm gonna go harder because it's too many avenues to reach the kids, and just hanging with being around some of the other nonprofits, I realized that gap fillers. I had been mentoring in the Cartersville school system. It's been 9 going on 10 years, even before I even thought about a nonprofit. The young cats really, they put me on game. They made me understand the importance and working together. So I'm old school. So I mean, what they brought to me, man, it's a lot that can be done, and I think it's a lot of willing people in the community that wants change. I mean, I think it's coming. I really do.
I believe, and I think you're going to be one of the people that's behind it. But just a couple more questions before we wrap it up. A little bit about COVID, and different people in the world and the country have handled COVID differently. I see that Bartow County and Cartersville City Schools both handled their COVID responses differently. And from what I think I read, Cartersville is going back to distance learning. I could be wrong, but I think I read that this week in the paper. What are your thoughts on how COVID has been handled in the Bartow County school system?
I think it's been good. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Bartow County, they gave the kids 3 opportunities: full-time virtual, full-time go back, and go back with a little virtual. So I mean, I think they did a great job. I mean, I would have supported. I mean, my nephew, just that gave his mom and what input I have. It gave us time to kind of view it, because I mean, me having it, I had it. I mean, I had to quarantine and go to it. It's serious. And to say, I mean, I trusted God with the situation, but to say that fear, like you were saying a little earlier about the time that you have to spend by yourself and how you have to take control of your thoughts, man, it's tough. Man, I really think they did a good job. I really do. But I mean, it's so hard for people to be still for a minute. It's like they get mad when if they say, man, you got to be still. Ain't nobody taking away your rights, man. He's just trying to stay safe. But you get it, man. Then a person will have a different outlook on it. So, I think they did good.
Okay. And we talked a little bit about social media, more so from the perspective of how it affects kids. But we all know adults get caught up in social media, and this throughout this quarantine, we saw some different things on social media, some things that raised eyebrows that came from the Bartow County school system. There were some who were petitioning to have a teacher removed from her job because of some social media comments. And also a member of the school board made some questionable, to say the least, comments on social media. For one, what do you think our responsibility is as community leaders, people who have an influence on children on social media?
I mean, you have to be responsible for that, man. I'm silly. I'm really a silly person. There's be a lot of stuff that I want to post just for a laugh. But I'm mindful of the people that's viewing my page. I'm very mindful. I don't want to lead nobody to damnation and hell. But I really, man, I don't want kids to be affected by nothing I say. I want them to be encouraged and inspired to be better every day.
You want to hear something funny?
Let's laugh.
You know how they doing that 5-face challenge right now on Facebook, right?
Right.
I was going to post, I think it was yesterday, that I don't know why y'all posting 5 faces. I don't want to see one face. But then I remember, hold on, I'm doing an interview tomorrow about some positivity about somebody who's running for office. What do I look like? Just talking.
Yeah, you got to be careful, man.
Funny and jest.
Even with me talking to, I usually deal with. I got family members and people that deal with the young ladies.
Mm-hmm.
I deal with young men mostly that don't have a male role model in their life. And I tell them now, man, that's your resume to college. If you're trying to go to college, they on top of that joint, man. Like they trying to view everything you doing, where you hanging, who you hanging with. I mean, you have to be careful.
And even work. Like, I know when we get new people here, we're looking up their names on all social media. What are you posting? What do you like? Who are you? And there's already preconceived notions about who a person is based off their social media before they even walk in the door.
Right.
So lastly, and we talked, before I asked this question, we talked about the social media piece. And, we talked about one of the board members who was asked to step down by members of the community but remained on the board. What approach will you take to working with people like that specific board member or others who share that same mindset if elected to the school board?
Man, I really would have to show grace. You feel what I'm saying? I mean, mm-hmm. I can't go into a situation building and expect change to come and me operating in bitterness or retaliation. I mean, if I retaliate, I'm in the same shoe as the hater. I mean, I ain't calling man no hater. I'm just saying,
in general, grace. I got you.
I'm just saying grace. Just try to work it out because it ain't really about. It's really not about my feelings. It's about the kids and the longevity of the kids and trying to inspire them to build a better future for themselves.
All right, so yeah, we got Dexter Jones from the mission on a mission. Are there any last words for the people before they get out and vote on Tuesday?
Just y'all, please get out and vote. We need your votes. That's your voice. And man, I appreciate you. I really do.
I appreciate you. I'm gonna sign off real quick, but don't hang up yet.
Okay.
Hope you all enjoyed that. We had Dexter Jones from the mission on a mission running for Bartow County School Board. So for those of you who are in his district, please make sure you get out there and vote for him on Tuesday. Again, thank you so much, Dexter, for this opportunity. Thank you all for listening. I'm going back on hiatus. Y'all probably won't see me again to the top of the year. Big baby,